for that question.
Yes.
Booyah, Roy's awesome.
Two things. How did you get into voice acting? Like, did you start working for American cartoons or Japanese cartoons?
Yeah, I was actually into theater, live theater. That's where my background was. And Funimation moved from using Ocean Group in Canada to Texas and had open auditions. And a friend of mine from a theater I was performing in, she auditioned and didn't get a part, but she said, "Oh my God, you do all these character roles in our theater productions. You should audition. You'd be probably pretty good at it." So I didn't expect to get a part because I'd never auditioned for a voice acting role ever. But I got Krillin, so it was pretty cool.
Thank you.
But still, you know, Krillin dies quite a bit, right? So made it a part-time job for me. But then Cartoon Network had nationwide auditions for Toonami Tom, and they went through all of their studios, and I was one of the people they asked to come in to audition, which was a really weird auditioning process for Toonami Tom because what they gave us were VHS. You know what VHS is?
Yeah.
Some of you may be too young to remember that.
I still use them to record.
It was like a really fat DVD, okay? And it kind of worked the same way, just much slower and awkwardly.
And you had to rewind it.
Yes, you had to rewind it, yeah.
And it can only fit 2 hours about.
Yeah, you didn't just go, I want to go to this chapter, you had to go...
Oh, missed it.
Oh, yeah, go back up. Okay. And it was a DVD of Toonami Tom just walking along.
VHS.
And doing different hand signals, but there was no suggestion as to what he should sound like. Well, he's a little robot, right? So all of us were trying to come up with robot voices and things, you know, that we thought would be appropriate. And I came into the audition. From Funimation, they asked for me, Chris Sabat, and I can't remember her name, the original Frieza, Linda Chambers. Yeah, and Linda Young now, I think is what her name is. But the three of us came in, and all of us were thinking that's what they wanted, some kind of robot voice. But what it came down to is that they said, no, we just want to hear your regular voice, you know. He's just, you know, and so Chris was really confused. He's like, what do you mean my regular voice? And so he tried something, and he said, no, that sounds too much like an announcer. We just want like a regular, cool, laid-back kind of guy, you know. And by the time they got to me, I kind of figured out what they were looking for. They were looking for a punk. So I walked in there and I said, okay, now this kind of pisses me off. And they went, what? And I said, well, I mean, I worked all weekend on this great robot voice and you don't even want to hear it? And they went, well, I guess we could hear it. Fine. If you want to hear it, I mean, if you really want to hear it, I'll do it. And I said, okay, do it. And I did some stupid robot voice and they went, that's terrible. And I said, I know, but I just wanted a chance to do it. And then I said, so what is it that you're looking for? And they said, I think you know what we're looking for. Because you've been giving it to us the whole time you walked in. And I said, okay. And so I basically got the part right away off of that. And when I landed that role, I realized that I had stumbled onto a career. You know, it had never been my intention to be a voice actor, although I dreamt of it when I was a kid, you know, because I was one of those kids who did all the impressions and things like that. And my father did voices and stuff, taught me how to do Donald Duck when I was 4 years old. So, but to actually, you know, do that for a living was just something that didn't really happen. So it was amazing to have that as an opportunity. And at that time, you know, I was still struggling to make it as a comic book artist, you know. I'd had 12 books published and that was my main goal. But to land as a voice actor was pretty remarkable. Yeah, I think that answers your question, right? How did I get into voice acting was your question, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And you worked with Frank Welker before, right?
Worked with who?
Frank Welker?
On what?
Anything.
I think so, maybe.
You must have been around Nicktoons Studio once or twice.
Nicktoons?
Yeah.
Oh, we don't do it at Nicktoons. Funimation has its own studios. Yeah, I have been in Nicktoons, but that was years ago because a friend of mine is a director, or used to be a director there. And he just gave me a tour, but that's another story.
Out of curiosity, why did they switch Frieza's voice?
I don't think she was available. Right, I mean, it's 12 years ago. Things change. Most of our original cast are there, but there are some changes that have been made. You know, it's hard to keep an entire
Travis
cast
is going to be
long.
Cell.
Huh?
I've heard rumors. Is Travis going to be Cell?
I heard that too. I'm not sure. that I'm allowed to say yes or no.
You're just confirming a rumor.
Yeah. You know what? It'd be a good choice though, because he and Damien are basically the same kind of type, you know, and they have similar ranges as well. Yeah.
In your directing work and your adaptation work of manga or anime, what has been the most interesting and challenging anime to translate into for the American audience?
What is the most interesting animated show to? You know, I think it would have to be Fruits Basket. You know, and I have to say that Fruits Basket was directed by Justin Cook, and I had just such a small part in that. But I remember years ago, before Justin became a main producer, he said, "Have you seen Fruits Basket yet?" And I said, "No, you know, I don't think I would watch something like that." And he goes, "Oh, you're gonna watch it," and he just handed me a stack of them, right? And I took them home, and my wife and daughter and I started watching them, and we spent the entire day watching the whole series because we were just so hooked on it, you know? It was really good, and it was really Japanese, you know? And until that point, Funimation had a policy that we were to Americanize all of our products, right? And so that's why you get a lot of crazy stuff in Dragon Ball Z, like Mondo Cool and shit like that. Because that was that was their intention. They figured that would be the best way to sell a product, right? And I remember when Justin put out this thing, and all of a sudden, I was directing at the time too, and all of our directors were called into a meeting, and they were told basically, this is how we do not direct shows. It's like Fruits Basket. We don't want to make it Japanese. We want to try to make it American, right? And so we're all like, wow, but that is so good though, right? Well, 2 weeks later, the reviews came out, and everyone loved it and was going all over the internet how cool this anime is and how true it is to the original Japanese and everything like that. So suddenly, Justin's called into the office to be given praise, you know? And now he's one of the main producers, so he must have been onto something. And so I credit him for the major direction of quality that Funimation went into after that. Because before that, a lot of times we were hailed as the damnation of animation. You know, we were actually destroying the industry, is what we were considered. And then after that, we did Full Metal Alchemist, and the quality of our work just started going up, up, and up. So we realized that if you could, you know, just because they're from another country doesn't mean they're not human beings that we can't relate to. If you be true to it, people will relate to it, and it won't be so awkward, you know. Yeah. Like some companies really push, you know, the Americanization.
Four kids.
Never say that out loud.
Down with 4 kids.
But yeah, it does happen that way, and to the detriment, because I think that they think that American audiences won't get it, but they're wrong. I mean, occasionally there are certain Japanese jokes that most people would not get. So you might have to make that an American equivalent of that. But generally, the intention is going to resonate by whoever watches it, you know? So I think that our rule after that was to try to stay as true to the original intention as possible, you know? As a matter of fact, when I was directing Lupin III, I told my cast, you know, so you can ad-lib anything you want. If you can come up with something funnier, please do it. But make sure it stays to the original intention, you know? Because there's 1,000 ways to say something, as long as the intention is there.